In part 1 of this lab, we're going to look at single gene traits. Before we get started, there's some key terms that we should review. Chromosomes. Chromosomes are one of the 46 DNA strands that are found in your cell's nucleus. Genes are a unit of heredity that are located on a chromosome. An example of a gene would be the gene for eye color. Alleles represent alternate forms of a gene. For instance, for the gene eye color, the two alleles may be blue eyes or brown eyes. Homologous chromosomes are chromosomes that contain the same genes at the same location. You received one from your mother and one from your father. These genes, though they are in the same location, they may not be identical. The alleles may vary. For example, you may inherit one allele for blue eyes and one allele for brown eyes. Some alleles are dominant, and a dominant allele masks or overrides the recessive allele. People with the dominant allele, capital B, make brown eye pigment. Both of the genotypes, capital B, and capital B small b, would give brown eyes. Dominant alleles are always represented using an uppercase letter. Recessive alleles are alleles that are masked by the dominant allele. People that have blue eyes need to have both copies of the recessive allele for it to be represented. Recessive alleles are always represented using lowercase letters. If an individual inherits two of the same allele found on homologous chromosomes, they are considered to be homozygous. Example would be an individual that inherited both alleles for brown eyes, or another individual that inherited two alleles for blue eyes. An individual who is heterozygous means that they have different alleles on each of the homologous chromosomes. For our eye color gene, this will be represented as an individual that has one capital B and one small b. Since brown eyes is the dominant trait, this individual would therefore exhibit brown eyes. The genotype is the actual makeup of an individual. For our gene for eye color, the genetic makeup of an individual could be homozygous dominant, which means they have two copies of the allele for brown eyes, heterozygous, which means they have one allele for brown eyes and one for blue, or they could be homozygous recessive, which means they have both alleles for blue eyes. The phenotype is a physical representation of a gene or expression, what the actual person looks like. So for our eye color gene, you would express the individual as either having brown eyes or blue eyes.